Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word. We are talking today, this is the second episode of the parable of the talents, okay? And remember, we're reading today using the New American Standard Bible, okay, that I have. It also says the same terminology in the King James and New King James, okay? If you look in the New International Version, it's the parable of the bags of gold, okay? So, and again, so you understand this, a talent is, I have like a coin here, all right? A talent was not a coin. A talent was a weight of the coins. So that's why the NIV translates it into bags of gold, okay? So a talent could be variable depending on what that is in that bag of money. It could be copper or silver or gold, okay? And it was a lot of money. So when Jesus is using this parable, it's like 20 years worth of wages and that these guys are entrusted to. So they're entrusted to this huge amount of money and they're responsible for it. So the guy is putting them in charge of that, okay? The slave owners. And Jesus has entrusted us with a whole lot. And what are we going to do with it? Okay. So today yesterday we focused on the faithful. They were faithful and were anticipating Jesus' return, and they invested what they had. They were doing everything, living for the Lord all the way up until his return. Now remember we talked about what David Guzik had said. The summary of this is this. The main point of this parable is our readiness for Jesus' return is determined by our stewardship of the resources that he has given to us, okay? How I steward those resources determines how faithful I am, okay? So let's read, and we're going to read starting in verse 14. Let me get my glasses. Hard to find my glasses right here. So it says this, "For it is like a man about to go on a journey who called his slaves and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to the other 1, each according to his ability, and he went on his journey. Immediately the one who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them, and gained 5 more talents. In the same manner the one who had received 2 talents gained 2 more. But he who had received 1 talent went away, and dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. Now after a long time the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. The one who had received the 5 talents came up and bought 5 more talents, saying, 'Master, you have entrusted to me 5 talents to me. See, I have gained 5 more talents.' His master said to him, 'Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master.' And also the one who had received 2 talents came up and said, 'Master, you entrusted me with 2 talents. See, I have gained 2 more talents.' His master said to him, 'Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter the joy of your master.' And the one who had received the 1 talent came up and said, 'Master, I knew you were a hard man, reaping where you do not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. And I was afraid, and I went away and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours.' But his master answered and said to him, 'You wicked and lazy slave, you knew that I reap what I do not sow, and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have put my money in the bank, and on my arrival I would have received my money back with interest. Therefore take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more shall be given, and he will have an abundance. But from one who does not have, even what he does have shall be taken away. Throw that worthless slave out into the outer darkness, in the place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.'" Okay? Let's focus here on the unfaithful today, okay? And that's the person that is basically living like Jesus is not going to return, okay? So they're just living for themselves, all right? They had a relationship with Jesus. And notice here, all 3 of these guys are servants, okay? This last guy is not an outsider. He is also a servant, okay? So you all have servants. They all belong to the master, okay? So as you have those 2 faithful guys that were faithful, and they invested the money and made it grow. This last guy, he buries it And we notice also this was an individual, an individual accounting, not collective. Okay, if you could put them all together and you looked at it, you're like, oh, overall they did good. Okay, but when you divide it out individually, the two did good, but the one did terrible. Okay, today in many of the colleges, and some my kids are taking some college courses, a lot of the assignments are a collaborative or collective assignments where they have to work with other people. Okay, to me it doesn't make much sense, because in these particular classes it's preparing you to become a teacher. Well, very few teachers are doing it in a group setting. Okay, but they're doing these assignments as a group. Okay, and so you are then graded as a group. Okay, and not on not individually. Okay, and so as a group it looks great, but individually this one guy might not have done anything, and so it would look bad. Okay, but when we're called before Jesus, it's individual. He's basing our results individually, not collectively. Like, oh, your church did great. You know, the church might have done great, but you as a person contributing to the growth of that church, probably you might not have done anything, and Jesus is going to hold you accountable for that. Okay, and then also notice that slave, that last slave, he wasn't taking responsibility. He never ever said, "Oh, it was my fault. I did this. I buried it. That I was wrong of me to do that." Never does he say that. He puts the blame back on the slave owner, saying, "Oh, I know you're a hard guy to work for, and you demand so much of us," that he was putting it back like it's the slave owner's fault. Okay, which is totally crazy. All right, and so he was not taking any responsibility for that. Okay, so that is the unfaithful, and in the end, that guy, Jesus says he's cast out. Okay, he's separated from the others, and the talent he has is given to those who know what to do with it. Okay, so God has given you, he has given you things to steward. It might be a talent, it might be the way you sing, it might be the money you earn, all kinds of things that God has given you. What are you going to do with it? Okay, when Jesus returns, are you sitting there holding all the things Jesus gave you and goes, "I got all this, I didn't do anything with it, and here you go, it's all yours"? And Jesus is like, "Well, you were supposed to use that stuff for my glory." Okay, then you have the other guy, and he's like, "I have nothing left because I spent it, I used everything for your glory. I had a boat and I gave it away to a ministry that hauls things down to Guatemala. I had I could sing, but I sang so much my voice is hoarse now. I've done everything and given everything away for your glory, and used up everything." And Jesus is going, "Well, that's great, because you're going to have more now, because I'm taking it from this other guy and giving it to you." Okay, so hopefully that makes sense with this whole parable. We talked about yesterday the faithful people who we want to be like, and then we talked about today the unfaithful person who we don't want to be like. Okay, and so that's the point of this whole parable there. All right, so anyway, thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through the book of Matthew. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.